Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Dara Mushtaq and I'm going to present my internship report. I did my internship in Bilal Hospital in Food and Nutrition Department. Here are the contents of my report: Introduction to Organization and Nutrition Department in Hospital, Tasks assigned, Case studies, Learning outcomes, and Conclusion. First of all, introduction to organization. As the largest private healthcare facility in the heart of Rawalpindi, Bilal Hospital has grown from maternity care center to full-scale modern tertiary care hospital in the span of 20 years. The hospital is equipped with sophisticated diagnostic and therapeutic equipment, and it has 8-bedded ICU, 4-bedded CCU, 2-bedded labor ward, delivery rooms, and basic neonatal nursery. There is a range room, semi-private rooms, and deluxe rooms with different amenities. Then are the key figures and departments. There are surgery and general surgery, cardiology, dermatology, dental surgery, ENT, gastroenterology, medicine, surgery, hearing aid, nephrology, neurosurgery, pediatrics, physiotherapy, plastic surgery, ophthalmology, psychiatry, pulmonology, speech therapy, ultrasound, urology, gynae, nutrition, and orthopedic. The department where I did my internship is nutrition department. Nutrition clinic is a specialized clinic at Bilal Hospital. A registered dietitian develops a dietary plan for the patients based on their medical condition and nutritional needs. Nutrition clinic will help you to choose healthy eating options, reduce the risk of chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart diseases, kidney diseases, or obesity. Plan a specialized diet based on patient's medical condition and speed up the recovery process of patients. Meals are prepared and provided to patients according to their medical condition. Assignments and presentation I submitted there are enteral and parenteral feeding, balanced diet, medical nutrition therapy, MNT for different diseases, nutritional assessment, dietary modification for chronic kidney diseases, weaning diet, importance of vitamins and minerals, cardiovascular diseases, and nutritional deficiencies. And as a case study, the disease is diabetes. Diabetes is a disease in which the body's ability to produce or respond to hormone insulin is impaired, resulting in abnormal metabolism of carbohydrates and elevated levels of glucose in blood. Glucose is a fuel that feeds your body cells, but to enter your cell, it needs a key, and insulin is that key. There are basically two types of diabetes: type 1 diabetes and type 2. In type 1 diabetes, the insulin producing cells of pancreas are damaged and the pancreas make little or no insulin. So sugar cannot get into the body cell for use as energy. But in case of type 2 diabetes, the pancreas makes insulin, but it does not produce enough or the insulin does not work properly. There are another two types of diabetes that are gestational diabetes and pre-diabetes. Gestational diabetes occurs when there is a high blood glucose level during pregnancy. As pregnancy progresses, the developing baby has a greater need for glucose. Hormone changes during pregnancy also affects the action of insulin, which brings about the high blood glucose levels. Blood glucose levels usually return to normal after childbirth. However, women who have had gestational diabetes have an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes later in life. And pre-diabetes means you have a higher than normal blood sugar level. It's not enough to consider type 2 diabetes, but without lifestyle changes, adults and children with pre-diabetes are more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. Causes of diabetes may include family history of diabetes, being overweight, physical stress, use of certain medications, injury to the pancreas, autoimmune diseases, abnormal blood cholesterol or triglyceride levels, age, smoking, and history of gestational diabetes, etc. Symptoms may include increased thirst, increased hunger, dry mouth, frequent urination, weight loss, weak, tired feeling, blurred vision, numbness or tingling in the hands or feet, slow healing, dry and itchy skin, urinary tract infection. Diabetes is diagnosed with fasting sugar blood test or with A1C blood test, also known as glycated hemoglobin test. These are the ranges for fasting random and A1C test. Then my first case study, the patient name is Aman. He's admitted in diabetic ward and major diagnosis is diabetes mellitus plus he is obese. His anthropometric data: age 67 years, weight 68 kg, height 5 feet 6 inches, BMI 27.62, IBW is 50 kg. And then biochemical assessment. Then is the clinical assessment, and then 24 hours dietary recall. Medical nutrition therapy for diabetes. Eat more fruits and vegetables, whole grains which provide complex carbohydrates, and stay well hydrated by drinking water. Cut back on saturated fats. Focus on lean meat and poultry, low fat dairy and lentils as sources of protein. Avoid meat such as liver and kidney. Limit serving sizes of beef, lamb, etc. Some seafoods can also be added in your diet. Moderate portions of fish can be part of diabetic diet. Avoid alcohol. The recommended sugar intake for adult women is 22 grams, 36 gram for men, and 12 grams for children. Some antioxidants also helps in reducing diabetic complications, so they should be added in diet. Fluids. Individual with diabetes should be encouraged to drink a minimum of 8 to 10 cups of fluid per day. What is glycemic index and glycemic load? Glycemic index is a figure representing the relative ability of a carbohydrate food to increase the level of glucose in the blood. Some people with diabetes use the glycemic index as a guide in selecting foods for meal planning. The glycemic index classifies carbohydrate containing foods according to their potential to raise your blood sugar level. Glycemic load of food is a number that estimates how much the food will raise a person's blood glucose level after eating it. 1 unit of glycemic load approximately the effect of eating 1 gram of glucose. A low glycemic load is between 1 and 10, a moderate glycemic load is 11 to 19, and a high glycemic load is 20 or higher. For those with diabetes, their diet should have glycemic load values as low as possible. Then is the diet plan, which includes breakfast, mid-morning snack, lunch, mid-evening snack, dinner, and bedtime snack. Then is case study 2. Here the patient name is Meera Fatma. She is admitted in gynae ward and the major diagnosis gestational diabetes. Her anthropometric measurements, then biochemical assessment and clinical assessment, and 24 hours dietary recall. Then diet plan. Then case study 3. Patient name is Farhan Ali. He is admitted in diabetic ward. Major diagnosis is diabetes mellitus. His anthropometric measurements: age 85 years, weight 90 kg, height 5 feet 9 inches, BMI is 29.3, overweight. Biochemical assessment, then is the clinical assessment: skin dry and itchy, mouth dry, hair easy to pluck, hands and feet diabetic foot. He's suffering from diabetic foot. Hunger, thirst, and urination increased, tired feeling, and weight gain, and very slow healing. Then is 24 hours dietary recall. Then diet plan. Now learning outcomes. My duty during my internship duration was ward visit with dietitian, prescribing diets under her supervision, and presentation on my assignments. Daily assignments on different topics of nutrition was also part of my training. Doing internship in Bilal Hospital is a very different kind of experience for me. Now moving towards what I have learned. So I have learned many of techniques or nutritional practices. First of all, I have learned about different types of diets in hospital. I learned how to form a balanced diet, nutritional assessment. Most importantly, I understand the concept of NG feed and its formation, how to calculate the calories and fluid requirement for a person, what is the caloric requirement in every disease, medical nutrition therapies for multi diseases. I also learned many points from doctors who are at round during that time, counseling of patients, supplements or its requirement. In the duration of 4 weeks, I learned above mentioned techniques enough to whet my appetite. I never had a chance to really delve into nutrition in depth so that I would feel comfortable counseling patients or speaking intelligently about it with colleagues. Then is the conclusion. I think my internship is opportunity for a medical student to get an insider look into the fascinating world of clinical nutrition and nutrition science. The variety of opportunities I had at the Bilal Hospital working with Dr. Tamina as my mentor gave me the ability to look at the role of nutrition in health from many different angles. I saw how important clinical nutrition is in the hospital. There were two separate clinics for kids with either growth faltering or obesity. These clinics are where I spend a great deal of my time. I like to say today that in order to provide effective dietary counseling to patients, each doctor should have a little bit of nutritionist inside them. This skill is one of the greatest gifts that the internship provided me for my own toolbox of clinical skills. Thank you.